Now, fallen, pernicious, evil, wicked man, whose heart is evil above all things and desperately wicked, says the scriptures. And of course that's borne out in life, is it not? It's expressed in life that man is a wicked, pernicious, evil being, and yet he thinks himself to be something, doesn't he? And so we have it. When we come to the book of Genesis and of the creation, and we start off with chapter 1, how God created all things, and then we come to chapter 2, which carries on in the way of reiterating what God had created. You see, in chapter 2, right, we've already had creation by God there set before us. Okay? And in chapter 2 and verse 4, sorry, Mr. Spurgeon, alright? There wasn't two creations, Mr. Spurgeon. Chapter 2 isn't a second creation, Mr. Spurgeon, and the likes of you reprobates. And if anybody takes offence at that, then all well and good. All well and good. Because there are those that have crept in, like Mr. Spurgeon, Charles Haddon Spurgeon, and have corrupted the gospel of Jesus Christ and the entire book of Holy Writ. In chapter 2, verse 4, it is a repeating of what has occurred in chapter 1. And with this addition, that in chapter 1 we had nothing laid down in the term of generations. Right? The term generations. That comes in chapter 2. Verse 4. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. So there it's laid down, generations. And why is it laid down as generations? Hey, to all the generations. No. For our ensample, that we set down how things came into being, like your son, your daughter, on this day or that day, and it's all written down, and this is the generation of my whole family from beginning to end, and this is what is here laid down. Of course, when God created, he created in a moment of time. In fact, there was no time until God created the time. And seeing that God created all things, we that are the children of God, elect of God, preserved of God, walk away, satisfied in the knowledge that all things were created by our God in Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God, the second person of the Trinity. Whereas the world, it spends billions and billions and billions on exploration for a God whom it has rejected, and our men and women even this day will sit around like idiots and debate evolution. Waste their time, waste their lives, and then the Christian just walks on. So I'm satisfied, I'm confident how this world is. I'm going to pass through this world. You're going to sit down, you're going to waste your time, you're going to argue this, you're going to argue that, you're going to argue everything. And what's the point when you drop into hell at the end of the day? The whole point of our arguing creation, of which some have taken it too far, is the fact of establishing God. You say to the wicked, you've rejected God. You need to get back to God before you can understand and accept that Genesis chapter 1 is true. That's the heart of the problem. It's not rhetoric. Oh, this came here and this came there and I challenge you to this and I challenge you to that. That's absolute childishness. The main principle of it all is that man should be faced with God. You see, we can argue and rightly argue creation, but the person opposite, if he's against creation, it's because he's against God. And no matter how much fine rhetoric and explanations we give to that person, he shall still be of the same. The rebellious shall be the rebellious. And all we can do to these boys is to point out what a wonderful, marvellous creation this is. If we expect those boys, again, to alter their minds, we are children. We can only say to our fellow man, here is creation, look at it. The various patterns, the shapes, the colours, how it's all upholded, how it all fits together until man sticks his dirty, sticky hands into it, and then it goes west. And of course, that's all we can do. If we expect that person to be convinced of our arguments and change their minds outside of a divine act of God, we are children in our understanding. Now, in the beginning, man, not God, created heaven and earth. How did he create heaven and earth? How did man create heaven and earth? Well, simply by applying rhetoric. The rhetoric of evolution. That's how he, as God, a tin pot God, created heaven and earth. For him to stand upon. And it's only him. He believes that we all stand on it, but it isn't, you see, because the world that he's looking at is his world, his created world. We, on the other hand, do stand for the truth and are of the truth, stand in the real world. You see, the other party, he's standing in the real world, and yet his understanding is not in the real world, it's in an evolutionist world, the world that he has created. And suddenly, of course, you see, in his world, this world that he created, instead of suddenly let there be light from God, there is light from man. Suddenly there was a big bang. And creation began. That's according to man. Suddenly, bang. And then gradually order and refinement came out of a bang. You see, man was there, of course, at the beginning. He saw all this, you see. That's what he's telling us. Because man, you see, is God. See, man was in the beginning. In the beginning, man. Not God. Man has replaced God. And being in the beginning, man, therefore, is the creator of this world and all things in it and external to it. Even the planets, the solar system, the galaxies, the suns, the moon, the stars, the whole thing man has created, because man was there in the beginning. In the beginning, man. That is the message that comes from evolution. Man having created evolution. As we say again and again, in the beginning, man created all things. You see, in fact, he goes one further. In the beginning, man, all right, created the heaven and the earth by rhetoric, so that a great big bang, you see, comes out of all this. It's all enveloped into it, you see. And then, of course, he sees this earth and it's without form and void, and he decides to put creatures on it, vegetation on it, give it air, give it water, give it land mass. And he's done this. Man has created his own world. Because man is God. Yeah, that's how man looks at himself. You see, he's listened to his father, the devil. The devil said to our first parents that they shall be as gods if they took off this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Gods. In other words, there were two persons there, Adam and Eve. Eve had been joined by Adam. That's why the plural was brought in. If Eve had been standing there, the devil would have said, "You shall be as God." And man has listened to the devil, and he believes himself to be God, self-opinionated, creating all things, changing the seasons that he's established, the seasons and the times, because it's in his hands, you see. And also, added to that, man has not only created a world, furnished a world, but upholds the world. And there are various movements which express the fact that man upholds the world. Because God has gone. God, for man, is man. Keep coming back to that. I'll come back to that in a second.